everyone, and welcome back. So, I know a lot of you have been super curious about Sam Sulek's workout routine
Hmm.
and, whether it actually works for those of us who aren't, using any extra help.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. They've got a
Hmm.
whole stack of articles about Sam's training, his diet, and the experiences of other natural athletes who've tried his methods.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because he's kind of become this fitness phenomenon,
Totally.
but his routine is definitely intense, even controversial for some. So it really makes you wonder if his approach can actually be adapted for people who are prioritizing natural gains.
Right, and that's going to be our mission for this deep dive, to really unpack those core principles of Sam's routine,
Yeah,
examine the evidence, and see if it's a viable path for you as a natural athlete.
awesome. I'm excited to dig in.
Me too. So our main source for this deep dive is an article called "I Tried Sam Sulek's Workout Routine as a Natty, My Experience Set for Set."
Okay.
It's written by Kyle Hunt,
Oh, right.
who's been around the fitness world for a while now, even back in those early YouTube fitness
Oh,
days.
wow, the early days. So he must have a unique perspective on how the industry has changed.
Yeah, totally. And it was fact-checked by Tyler DiGiovanni.
Okay.
One thing I found really refreshing about this article is that Kyle is super upfront about the prevalence of steroid use in bodybuilding.
Right.
And while he's chosen to stay natural,
Yeah.
he makes it clear that he respects those who make different choices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about personal goals and finding what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what drew Kyle to Sam in the first place?
What's that?
He kind of sees Sam as this throwback to a more authentic era of fitness YouTubers.
Okay.
Someone who emphasizes hard work and being real
Uh-huh.
instead of all the flash and, carefully crafted personas we often see today.
Yeah, I get that. A
Yeah.
little authenticity can go a long way.
Absolutely. So Kyle breaks down Sam's routine and his whole fitness philosophy into the good and the bad.
Okay.
And the first thing that jumped out on the good side is Sam's relentless emphasis on effort.
Right.
Like, this guy pushes every set hard, often to failure or even beyond,
Wow.
using techniques like drop sets, assisted reps, and something called lengthened partials.
Lengthened partials, I've heard of those. Have you ever tried them?
I haven't actually. Have you?
Yeah, I have. And they could be really effective when you do them right. The idea is to really fatigue the muscle by working it at its most stretched point.
Okay.
So like at the bottom of a bicep curl or a dumbbell row.
So you're basically squeezing out that extra bit of muscle stimulation.
Exactly. Think about it. When the muscle is fully lengthened, it's got to recruit more muscle fibers to handle the load.
Oh, I see.
And this can lead to greater muscle damage.
Which sounds bad.
I know, right? But it's actually a key trigger for muscle growth.
Interesting. So there's actual science behind it.
There is.
Okay, so what about those of us who don't have hours to spend in the gym? Does this kind of intensity mean long workouts?
Not necessarily. And that's another thing Kyle highlights as a positive.
Okay.
Sam's workouts are usually pretty short, only around 45 to 60 minutes.
Okay, so short but intense. Got it.
Exactly. He's all about maximizing intensity,
Right, right.
not spending hours and hours at the gym.
Makes sense.
Now let's talk about the bad.
Okay, let's hear it.
Kyle noticed that Sam's form can get a little, shall we say, relaxed,
Relaxed, huh?
especially when it comes to lowering the weights. He tends to lower them pretty quickly. And,
I see where you're going with this.
yeah, that can increase the risk of injury.
Definitely.
And it might not be maximizing muscle growth either.
Yeah, because you're not really controlling that eccentric or lowering part of the lift.
Exactly. And that's actually super important for muscle growth. When you lower the weight slowly,
Uh-huh.
it increases the time under tension, making those muscles work even harder.
Makes sense.
Kyle also making some inconsistencies in Sam's range of motion.
Oh, yeah, especially with those lengthened partials.
Right. For optimal results, you want a clear transition between that full range of motion and those partials.
But wait, isn't consistency in form always considered a good thing?
It usually is, yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes varying your range of motion can be beneficial depending on your goals.
Right, I see.
It's about finding the right balance between consistency and strategically introducing variations.
Gotcha. So another thing that was interesting to me, Sam seems to choose his exercises on the fly.
Really?
Yeah, based on how he's feeling that day.
Ah, so it's more of an intuitive approach.
Which
Now,
exactly.
there are definitely pros and cons to both structured and intuitive training.
Right.
A structured program gives you that consistency and the ability to really track your progress.
Mm-hmm.
But an intuitive approach lets you adapt to how your body's feeling on any given day.
Yeah, I can see how both sides have their appeal.
Totally.
So I'm curious, what did Kyle actually do when he decided to try Sam's routine for himself?
I'd like to know that too.
Did he just dive in and follow it exactly?
Well,
Or did he make some adjustments?
he did actually make a few tweaks to fit his own lifestyle and training schedule.
Smart. I'm guessing he didn't train as frequently as Sam does.
You got it. Sam's known for training pretty frequently,
Yeah.
but Kyle opted for a more manageable 4 workouts per week.
Okay, and what about the diet? Did he follow Sam's flexible dieting approach?
He did, but he also adjusted his calorie intake to match his own individual goals.
Makes sense.
He realized that what works for a high-level athlete like Sam might not be the right fit for him.
That's a great point, and it really highlights the importance of personalizing your fitness journey.
Absolutely. So are you ready to hear how Kyle's first week went?
Yeah, let's hear it. Did he get hit with that dreaded muscle soreness?
Oh, he did. He got hit pretty hard, especially in his chest and arms.
Oof, I can feel that.
All that concentrated volume was a big change from his usual routine.
Wow, so his body was definitely feeling it, but I'm guessing that didn't stop him.
Nope, not at all. By week 2, he was still sore but adapting well. He even had to get creative and swap out some exercises based on what was available at his gym.
Oh, wow.
It just goes to show you that adaptability is key.
You got to roll with the punches, right?
Exactly. Now, about that flexible dieting.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about that. I heard Sam isn't afraid to indulge in some, shall we say, less conventional bodybuilding foods.
You heard right. And Kyle embraced that aspect too.
Okay, so spill the beans. What kind of less conventional foods are we talking about?
Well, according to Kyle, Sam enjoys a king-size crunch bar.
A king-size crunch bar, seriously?
Yep, as a post-cardio snack.
Wow, I never would have guessed that.
It just goes to show that flexible dieting is all about finding what works for you.
That's actually super empowering.
It is. You can enjoy those favorite foods even if they're not considered healthy.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're mindful of portion sizes and your overall macro intake.
That's a really valuable takeaway for our listeners, you know? You don't have to deprive yourself to reach your fitness goals. It's all about making smart choices.
Absolutely. And it seems like that approach worked well for Kyle.
So by week 4, was he in a groove?
He was. Soreness was manageable. He was handling the calories well.
Great.
And he was genuinely enjoying this change of pace from his usual powerlifting routine.
That's awesome. So it sounds like this whole experiment was a positive experience for him.
It really was.
What kind of results did he see after a month?
He saw some pretty impressive results, actually. He gained 5 pounds.
Wow, 5 pounds in a month. That's pretty amazing.
Right. He noticed a significant increase in the size of his arms.
Cool.
And he said he just felt better overall physically.
So what do you think contributed most to those results?
Well, I'd say it's probably a combination of factors.
Yeah.
The increased training volume definitely played a role,
Uh-huh.
along with his consistent effort and hitting those calorie and protein targets.
Right.
And let's not forget the overall anabolic stimulus of incorporating bodybuilding-style training into his routine.
Yeah, that's got to make a difference.
It does. It's a really powerful approach for muscle growth.
So what were some of Kyle's key takeaways from this whole experience?
Well, he really emphasized the importance of pushing sets to failure,
Okay.
but he also cautioned against going too far beyond failure as a natural athlete.
Right, you have to think about recovery.
Exactly. Recovery is crucial, and pushing too hard can be detrimental in the long run.
Makes sense.
He also stressed consistent calorie and protein intake, which aligns with Sam's flexible dieting approach.
Right.
And finally, he really embraced the benefits of incorporating bodybuilding training into his routine.
Yeah, he saw how effective it can be for building muscle and improving fatigue.
He did. Now, did he talk to any other natural athletes who had tried Sam's routine?
He did, actually, and it's interesting because their experiences varied.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I think just reinforces the idea that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to training.
Absolutely. What works for one person might not work for another, and that's totally fine.
Exactly. The key is to find what works best for you, for your body, and your goals.
I love that. So I guess this is a perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive.
It is. We've talked a lot about the overall principles and Kyle's experience, but now I want to dig into the specifics of Sam's routine and see how we can apply those principles to our own training.
I'm game. Let's unpack those details.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right, so let's get into the specifics of Sam's routine.
Okay, let's do it.
His leg day. Woof. It's a beast.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of just listing every single exercise, I think it's more helpful to focus on what we can learn from it.
I like that.
So you'll notice that he prioritizes high volume, hitting those quads, hamstrings, and glutes from all angles.
Yeah, so are there any exercises that stand out as particularly effective?
One that caught my eye is his use of heel-elevated barbell back squats.
Oh, interesting.
It's a clever way to shift the emphasis to the quads and really maximize activation.
Gotcha.
And that's a principle you can apply to your own leg workouts, even if you're not doing the exact same exercise.
So it's about understanding how those subtle variations can target different muscle groups.
Exactly.
Cool. What about his chest and shoulder routine? What does he do there?
Well, for chest, he's all about those incline barbell bench presses,
Okay.
hitting them hard with variations like hammer strength and Smith machine incline presses.
So a multi-angle approach to really work those chest
You
muscles.
got it. And for shoulders, he incorporates a mix of single-arm face pulls, reverse pec deck,
Uh-huh.
dumbbell lateral raises, and machine lateral raises.
Hitting all three heads of the deltoids.
Exactly. It's all about hitting those muscles from multiple angles.
Yeah, to get those rounded, well-defined shoulders.
Precisely. All right, moving on to back day,
Okay, back day.
we see a heavy emphasis on barbell rows
Makes sense.
and lat pull-downs, both single-arm and free motion variations.
Really hammering those back muscles.
Oh, yeah. A strong, wide back is crucial, not just for aesthetics, but also for overall strength and posture.
It's the foundation of a well-rounded physique, right? So
Absolutely.
we've covered legs, chest, and shoulders, back. What's left?
Arm day.
Arm day. I'm guessing that's where all the bicep curls come in?
You know it, but it's not just curls.
Okay.
His arm routine includes a balanced mix of triceps and bicep exercises.
So what kind of exercises are we talking about?
We're talking underhand cable press downs,
Mm-hmm.
dumbbell overhead triceps extensions, dips, cable and dumbbell curls, even preacher curls.
Wow, so it's like a greatest hits of arm exercises.
It really is. This comprehensive approach targets all the major muscles in the arms.
To build both size and strength.
Exactly. Now let's talk about his diet.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned flexible dieting earlier.
Right, so he aims for specific protein and carbohydrate targets.
To fuel those intense workouts.
Yes. And while he doesn't follow a strict meal plan,
Uh-huh.
he's super meticulous about tracking everything he eats.
So it's more about being mindful and hitting those targets.
Exactly.
Okay.
And here's something you might find surprising.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He's not afraid to incorporate some, let's call them unconventional bodybuilding foods into his diet.
Unconventional, like what? Give me an example.
Well, Kyle mentioned that Sam enjoys a king-sized crunch bar
A king-sized crunch bar.
as a post-cardio snack.
No way.
Yeah, it just goes to show that flexible dieting is all about finding what works for you.
I mean, who would have thought a king-sized crunch bar could be part of a fitness-focused diet?
Right. It shows you can enjoy those favorite foods, even if they're not considered healthy, in moderation.
That's really cool. It takes away that feeling of restriction.
Exactly. So looking at Sam's approach as a whole, what are some takeaways, especially for those who are natural?
Yeah, good question.
Well, first and foremost, effort is key. Sam's dedication to pushing his limits is something we can all learn from.
You won't see results if you're not giving it your all in the gym.
No, you won't. And that leads us to the second takeaway, consistency.
Okay, consistent.
Sam's commitment to tracking his food and hitting those macros is a major contributor to his success.
We might not all be able to eat exactly like him,
Right.
but we can definitely adopt those principles of mindful eating and macro management.
Absolutely. And third, don't be afraid to experiment.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Sam's constantly trying new exercises, techniques, even foods.
It's a good reminder that there's no one right way to train.
Exactly. Find what works for you and keep pushing those boundaries.
Love that. So what other insights can we glean from Sam's approach?
Well, one of the most interesting things Kyle discovered was that even junk food can be incorporated strategically into a fitness-focused diet.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier, but tell me more about that.
Sure. So Kyle found that by incorporating some fun foods strategically, he could better adhere to his diet overall, especially when he was super hungry from the intense training.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's a reminder that flexible dieting isn't about restriction. It's about finding a sustainable way to fuel your body and achieve your goals without feeling deprived.
That's a really valuable insight, and it really challenges that whole clean eating dogma.
It does. It highlights the importance of finding a balance that works for you physically and mentally.
So we've talked about effort, consistency, experimentation, and flexible dieting. Are there any other key principles we can take away from Sam's approach?
Absolutely. Fitness is a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
There will be ups and downs, challenges, and triumphs along the way.
You got to embrace the process.
You do. Sam's unwavering dedication, even when faced with setbacks, is something we can all learn from.
It's about staying focused on the long game.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears a bit and delve into some of the scientific evidence behind these principles.
Okay, let's get into the science.
One study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that high-intensity resistance training, similar to Sam's approach, led to significant increases in muscle mass and strength.
So there's actual scientific backing for the idea that pushing your limits can lead to serious gains.
There is. And another study in the International Journal of Sports Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism found that protein intake is crucial for muscle growth and repair.
Which reinforces the importance of hitting those protein targets.
Absolutely. And lastly, Research has shown that flexible dieting could be just as effective as more rigid approaches for weight loss and body composition goals.
Wow, that's huge. It means you can enjoy your favorite foods while still making progress.
Exactly. It's all about finding a sustainable approach that works for you.
Okay, so before we move on, I think we need to address something that often comes up when we talk about high-level athletes like Sam.
You mean the question of performance-enhancing drugs?
Yeah. While we can't speculate on individual cases, it's important to remember that performance-enhancing drugs can significantly enhance muscle growth and recovery,
Right.
meaning that natural athletes might not achieve the same level of muscularity.
That's a really crucial point.
It's about being realistic about what's achievable naturally.
And celebrating those achievements. Natural athletes can still build impressive physiques.
They can, and those accomplishments deserve to be recognized.
Absolutely. So it's important to focus on your own journey and progress.
And not compare yourself to others.
Exactly. Everyone's path is unique.
Right.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more aspect of Sam's training I think deserves attention.
Okay, what's that?
His unconventional approach to exercise selection.
I mean, how he often chooses exercises based on how he feels that day.
Exactly. It might seem unorthodox, but there's actually a growing body of evidence supporting the benefits of intuitive training.
Really?
Yeah. Research suggests that tuning into your body's signals and adjusting your training accordingly can actually enhance performance and reduce the risk of injury.
So while a structured program can provide a solid foundation,
Mm-hmm.
there's also value in listening to your body.
Absolutely. It requires a certain level of self-awareness and experience, but it can lead to a more personalized and effective training approach.
That makes a lot of sense.
So as we wrap up, it's important to reiterate that there's no one right way to train or achieve your fitness goals.
Such a powerful message.
What works for Sam might not work for you, and vice versa.
Right.
The key is to find what aligns with your goals, what you enjoy, and what you can sustain over the long term.
I love that. It's all about finding that sweet spot between structure and intuition, pushing your limits but listening to your body.
And staying dedicated to those goals.
Yeah, exactly.
And most importantly, enjoy the process.
Yeah, fitness should be fun.
It should. It's about celebrating what your body can do.
And striving for that continuous improvement.
I like that. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Explored Sam's training philosophy, his routine, the science behind his methods, even touched on the sensitive topic of performance-enhancing drugs.
What a journey.
We've examined the pros and cons, the risks and rewards, and hopefully empowered you to make informed decisions about your own training.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Ooh, a final thought. I like it.
A challenge, if you will.
Okay, I'm listening.
I challenge you to take everything we've discussed today, all the principles, insights, and strategies, and apply them to your own fitness journey.
Love it. Don't be afraid to experiment, push your boundaries, and discover what works best for you.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be doing a deep dive into your fitness routine.
I love that. But for now, keep pushing, keep striving, and most importantly, keep enjoying the incredible ride that is fitness.
Such great advice.
And remember, we're always here to support you along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and keep those gains coming.
It's crazy, right? We always hear about these top-level athletes and their insane routines.
I know, right?
But it's so easy to forget that they didn't just start out that way.
Totally.
They had to put in the work, figure out what worked for them, you know?
Yeah, it's a process for sure.
Sam's no different, right?
Not at all. Everyone starts somewhere.
Mm.
Even someone like Sam, who seems so driven,
I know.
had to go through that trial and error.
Exactly. And that's what I think makes this deep dive so valuable.
I agree.
We haven't just explored Sam's methods. We've really unpacked those underlying principles that anyone can apply to their fitness journey.
For sure. Effort, consistency, experimentation, mindful nutrition.
Exactly. Those principles can be used with any routine, any training style.
They're the foundation.
Yeah.
No matter your goals.
And I think what's really cool is that we've seen how those principles can be adapted to fit different lifestyles,
Right.
different preferences.
Like Kyle. Yeah. Kyle's a great example.
He took Sam's approach and made it work for him.
You don't have to completely change your life to get results.
You don't. And speaking of sustainability,
Yeah, what about that?
let's talk about Sam's flexible dieting approach.
Okay, let's revisit that.
It's becoming so popular.
And for good reason.
It is. Who wants to feel restricted all the time? No one. I think that's the appeal, right?
Totally. You can enjoy the foods you love, but still reach your goals.
It's all about balance.
It is physical and mental.
Right. And I think it encourages a whole new mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of thinking about food as good or bad,
Yeah.
it's about understanding how it fits into your needs.
It takes away the guilt.
It does.
And the shame.
It's about making informed choices.
Absolutely.
No food is off limits.
As long as it fits those goals.
It's a game changer for so many people.
I know, right?
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something,
Okay, shoot.
a challenge.
A challenge. I like that.
Take everything they talked about today, the principles, insights, strategies,
Okay.
and apply them to your own journey.
That's awesome. Don't be afraid to try things.
Push your boundaries.
Figure out what works for you.
Maybe someday we'll deep dive into your routine.
Haha, that'd be fun.
But for now,
Yeah.
keep pushing.
Keep striving.
And enjoy the ride.
It's a great ride. It really is.
So true.
Well, this has been amazing.
It has.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Until next time.
Stay strong, stay curious.
Keep those gains coming. I see.